CCBUS services, so our crisis intervention services, started from from the state passing legislation wanting to create a safety net to keep young people out of the juvenile justice and child welfare systems. And so the point is why alternatives would get involved in that is from a prevention standpoint, that all of our work is aimed at how do we work with young people, address the root causes of barriers to whether to their success and building skills for success. So the program started from in '85, and we applied to provide the services. And part of alternatives structure is that we did not have housing ourselves, and so we again created a collaborative model of working because at the same time youth homeless shelters were being created, and so we created a partnership in particular with Night Ministry and Team Living Program to they would provide housing, and we would not only in relation to the crisis, but would work with the shelters to offer other services to the young people, so that the young people who they were finding potentially just on the streets who needed services, we could connect and provide those services. So it was a win-win, so to speak, for the young people in connecting them with services.
Yeah, so I've been at Alternatives about 10 years. I started out as a crisis therapist on our CCBUS program, which is Comprehensive Community-Based Youth Services. I think it's a contract we've had for many years, and it's one that I think we're really known for. So I did for a couple years both intervention and then treatment and stabilization services for families as a therapist. And then I got the opportunity after a couple years when the clinical supervisor was leaving to apply for that job and to try to challenge myself in a new way, and got the opportunity to grow at this agency. And I was a clinical supervisor and oversaw that program for almost 7 years. And then got another opportunity to grow, which I really value about the agency. And was able to move into an associate director role for a short period of time, and then in this last year I've been the director of programs at the agency. And I'm really excited about the sort of concept of us trying to be really intentional about integrating our services. CCBUS program, which a major portion of that program is providing 24-hour crisis intervention to young people. We're typically working with young people who are locked out of their homes or refusing to return home, or are not stabilized in their community for whatever reason that may be. So the workers are really tasked with assessing whether or not a young person is safe, and we're really trying to come up with in-the-moment plans of where a young person is going to be able to stay in a safe environment. We're trying to reunify families, we're trying to keep families together and really provide supports in the community to stabilize both the young person and their families. One of my favorite stories is a young person that we worked with for many years. He had been homeless basically from the age of 14 on, just kind of a lot of discord in the family and lots of lockouts circumstances. And he was smart and funny and always knew when to reach back out for services, and it was really such a strength of his because he wasn't with us for 4 years, but he knew when it would get to a point that he needed to be re-engaged in services, and he always took advantage of the services that he could, and ultimately after probably 4 years of him being in and out of placement with us and out of treatment services and all of that, he had called me maybe 2 years after I hadn't heard from him, after he sort of aged out. He had turned 18. He called me about 2 years later to ask me for professional advice about the fact that he had gotten his GED and he was in a CNA program, and he was looking for advice about how to get somebody for one of his patients connected to a social service provider. And so it felt for me very full circle. We don't always get to see the fruits of our labor in that way, because the program tends to be a little bit shorter term, and we're really just attempting to get young people stabilized and then connected where they need to be so they can be successful. And it was a really powerful moment of exactly what we say we want to do at Alternatives, is we wanted to in that moment where he really needed focused effort on us helping with his basic needs, we were able to provide that. But then we were able to also cultivate in him, with him, because he had these attributes absent of us, right? But we were able to cultivate with him how he really grows into leadership, and how he knows to reach out for support, and it was just a really powerful moment for me, because he got himself to a place. It really is that he got himself to a place by taking advantage of whatever supports he could. So it's a really powerful program when we get a chance to work with families, and the families are really amazing to let people in their lives in moments like that. Total strangers come in and trying to help them weave through what is a really hard situation in their lives.